You are listening to Keep Canada Weird, a weekly weird news roundup by the Nighttime Podcast.
Handsome Aaron Airport. They tried to stop us. They tried to take us down. They tried to put tariffs on our internet connection. None of it worked. We're here to keep Canada weird. Fist bump, buddy. I'm glad to be with you again.
Hey, not too hard, though. You got those strong arms.
Little hands and strong arms.
Yeah, they're like daggers.
How are you over there?
Great. How are you?
Good. Anything new? Anything you want to tell me about?
Nah, there's very little I want to tell you about. I don't 100% trust you yet.
Okay, we're working on it. We got a lot of stuff to iron out.
Maybe another 20 years, then we'll have that foundation built.
Yeah. Well, we've kept Canada weird for 158 episodes. That number keeps rising. This is the countdown to 200. We're on the road to 200.
It would be weird if it kept going down.
Oh, yeah. Then what would happen?
Like history is erasing. Like we created a new timeline with some kind of a time travel machine.
Okay. That sounds like the idea for a really crappy movie.
No.
Like we want to do something back to the future, but we want to incorporate something modern and cool.
Yeah.
I don't know, podcasts.
Yeah, how about each podcast episode starts disappearing?
What? Let's get to the good stuff. I got a special drink in my hand. I'm happy to tell you that it's decaffeinated tea.
Oh.
It is a boring drink tonight, but there's like kind of a cold bug going around my neighborhood and my house. And so I've been doing a lot of hydration work on myself.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So I'm working on that with some tea tonight.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome.
What do you got?
I don't have a special drink. I just have my staple, my small can of Coca-Cola, 0 sugar, 0 caffeine.
Okay. A lot of people tune in just to hear the special drink reveal.
And they immediately shut the episode off as soon as they hear the special drinks. And then they're like, all right.
Before you hit stop, special drink fetishists. I got some news.
Yeah.
We've been talking about working on like an explainer series, which are going to be like compilation episodes where we revisit threads or storylines that played out across a span of Keep Canada Weird episodes. We talked about doing something on egg versus egg gate. We talked about doing something about the time that you almost left the show because of the amount of hate mail you were receiving.
Mm-hmm.
We're also going to do one on special drinks. And you're probably asking, like, Jordan, where are you getting the time to like go through all those old episodes and put all those clips together, right? Are you thinking that?
No, I don't care.
Okay, well, if you were, I have big news. Keep Canada Weird has an intern. Did you know that?
No, that did not come across my desk. No.
No. So here's the long and short of it is I was contacted by a journalism school who offered to have an intern work with me to learn the ropes of like podcasting and the style of work that I do on nighttime. And I said, yeah, sure. I'd love to have an intern. I don't know if the intern expected their first assignment to be to go back through 157 episodes of Keep Canada Weird and take notes of every time we mention egg versus egg gate, compile a list of our special drinks, compile the timestamps for every time Handsome Aaron Airport was insulted. But that was their first task. And oh my God, they're doing an amazing job. I'm so excited to begin the Explainer series with you. And I think the listeners are going to like hearing it.
So does this student have to produce some kind of a report at the end, kind of detailing the work that they did and what they learned?
I hope not. I hope not. If so, it will be the last time the school offers an intern to the Keep Canada Weird podcast world. But they're here now and they're enjoying it. So his name is Matt, and I'm looking forward to collaborating with a whole bunch of stuff in the future. So things are just about to get good here.
Yeah. Welcome to the team, Matt. We're glad to have you. And can't wait to hear this special drink
hour of it
compilation that you're putting together.
Before we get into keeping Canada weird, we got to hear from a listener. Do you remember Jess last week? She's from Ottawa. She phoned in to let us know that a Robin's Donuts in her town was unable to stay in business despite her support. And there was some suggestion she may or may not have invited us to her wedding. It turns out that our reaction to her voicemail actually may have offended her a little bit. Turns out that maybe Jess can't take the heat But here's her follow-up to last week's message.
Hey guys, it's Jess from Ottawa again. I just finished listening to this week's episode, and that was super cool to hear my voice message played on the show. Definitely made my day. Um, First off, I should have known you were probably going to chirp me. That hurt my feelings a little bit, but then I realized it's just you guys, it's what you do, and I love you anyways. As for the wedding, your invites were sent by Canada Post, so there's a chance you're not going to receive them for the next 36 to 46 years, and by then it will be too late. I would love to be Keep Canada Weird's first wedding. I'm assuming first wedding. But there'd be one stipulation, and that would be that you guys would have to be my bridesmaids. So I'll leave that invitation with you, and you can get back to me if you are up for it.
I'm just gonna come right out and say yes.
Oh, yes to the dress. 100%. Yeah.
Did we chirp her hard though? I thought like we were.
We gave her a hard time about not inviting us to the wedding. And I think I
Yeah.
gave her a bit of a hard time on not trying hard enough to keep the robins, or maybe you did, to
Yeah.
keep the robins open. I think we gave her a bit of a hard time there.
Yeah, I guess we'll call it chirping. But Jess, we go way hard. There's been times where I'm like, "Whoa, Aaron." It's usually not me. I'm usually like, "Whoa, Aaron, don't go there with this listener who
You're
took the
you're
time to
the
call."
Joey Lawrence of Keep Canada Weird.
Like, whoa, yeah, okay.
Whoa. I mean, let's get down to the meat and potatoes of this voicemail. That's the invitation has been extended now, and the stipulation is we have to be her bridesmaids.
It's going to be a weird wedding. She's going to have a lot of explaining to do to her friends and family about the two men in dresses with microphones and headphones on.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm up for it if you are. I would love to go on a road trip with you. We're up for it. Let's do it. Let's make it official. We want the dates, the time, and the place, when and where to show up, and we'll be there.
Are you serious?
100% I'm serious. This is an amazing opportunity for us. We'll bring the intern.
With Matt. Jess is like, what did I get into?
Yeah, Matt's holding the backs of our dresses to make sure they don't, get dirty on the floor.
Well, let's get into it. I mentioned here that we have the explainer episodes coming out that are going to help new listeners catch up with some of the things we reference from time to time. But one of those things that we reference from time to time, we're going to open up the episode with it tonight. For some reason, people are stealing butter all across Canada. No one seems to realize this except we here in the Keep Canada Weird Army. We know it's happening. The media is largely silent on it. But there's been a major breakthrough, a significant development related to the butter theft that is running wild here in Canada. This is a short article to read. You want to read this one?
Yeah.
This is a story coming out of Waterloo, Ontario.
A bizarre trend in weird Canadian crime has taken yet another turn. This time in the Waterloo region, where police say 5 people have been charged in connection with a string of butter and ghee thefts. According to investigators, the dairy-driven crime spree took place between September 2024 and February 2025, with 15 separate incidents were reported at grocery stores across Kitchener, Cambridge, and Waterloo. In total, over $8,000 worth of butter and ghee was stolen. The suspects, 4 men ranging in age from 24 to 38, and a 25-year-old woman, now face multiple charges, including theft under $5,000. In January, Peel Regional Police charged 6 individuals in a similar case involving grocery stores in Brampton, Ontario. That investigation uncovered more than $60,000 in losses, leading to charges ranging from theft under $5,000 to possession of property obtained by crime. While the motivation behind these butter heists remains unclear, the trend continues, and Canada's grocery stores and law enforcement teams are on high alert.
So there's been arrests. The second set of arrests, I wonder if these different teams of butter thieves are working together, because it's like they're not hitting one grocery store or one Walmart or something. Every time you hear of this, it's a string of them. So it's like it's almost like an organized crime thing targeting butter, specifically in Ontario, it seems. Like, what a strange crime spree. I never would have thought that this could happen, but here we are.
Yeah, what is it about Ontario butter that's so alluring to these individuals? It's clearly all connected. It's clearly some kind of an underground crime organization that is behind this, but we still haven't, even though there's arrests have been made clearly, and this is why else I think that it is truly like a mafia style initiative, is the suspects aren't talking.
And they're not even being named by police. I haven't seen the name of one person arrested. They don't seem to be saying a word to law enforcement because it seems to be a mystery to them as well. What they're doing with this butter, why they need so much of it, how they're able to turn this stolen butter into money, that's all a mystery. And I don't know if we're going to solve it anytime soon, but one thing's for certain is this crime wave doesn't seem to be slowing down. Lock up your butter.
The butter being stolen is probably just a small piece to the grand puzzle that we're trying to put together here. Being, maybe it's a chain of movie theaters run by the mafia that just need the butter for the popcorn.
I don't know who else could need this much butter. That said, do they even put real butter on popcorn anymore at theaters? I want to say though, since we're on the topic of theaters, I don't often go. I went last week to see the Minecraft movie, and it was so good.
Oh, you liked it?
I loved it. I went with my kids.
I didn't see it. I just been hearing people say a lot of negative things.
Oh, really? I went with my kids expecting it to be kind of, just like whatever. I'll just pass the hour and a half sitting there eating popcorn with my kids. I laughed through the whole thing, and I recommend that movie to anyone who's, if you have kids that have any interest in it, take them, and it's a fun time. But all that said, we're not here to review movies. We did that on the bonus episode last week, reviewing Canadian bacon. We are here tonight to keep Canada weird by seeking out and highlighting all the unique and offbeat stories that played out across Canada, in addition to the butter theft breakthrough that we just heard. Let's get into it. We're going to take our first ad break. When we come back, we're going to have a duo of stories that relate to weird and perhaps offensive stuff showing up in Canadian yards. We'll get into that right after this break. Handsome Aaron Airport. Butter theft is a reoccurring theme on Keep Canada Weird, as is interesting stories related to tires. These are two topics I never would have expected us to spend countless hours discussing. Well, they're back. Just like there's been a breakthrough in the butter thefts, there has been yet another shocking tire story we need to discuss. This one's coming to us from Scarborough, Ontario. The latest twist in Keep Canada Weird's long-running saga of bizarre tire tales takes us to a Toronto backyard with over 800 used tires stacked where grass once grew. Complaints from tenants of the home and from neighbors keep piling up, but so do the tires. Here's the story of the tire-pocalypse in Scarborough.
It's a backyard in a residential neighborhood in Scarborough, unlike almost any other. You won't find lounge chairs or outdoor furniture here, just used tires, hundreds of them, piled high.
We can't use the backyard, we can't come out here, we can't do anything.
The used tires are stacked up behind this rooming house on Healy Avenue. Neighbors want them gone.
A fair request to make sure that our neighborhood's not turned into a city dump for a property owner.
For weeks now, the tires have been sitting here. The city issued an order they be removed. Don Stevenson lives in the home.
The city told me to have these all gone by today.
The order? It was ignored. And neighbors say they're not surprised.
A lot of our neighbors have complained about maintenance from either grass being taller than myself and a lot of garbage, litter in front.
If the tires caught fire, it could be a toxic mess. In 1991 in Hagersville, Ontario, millions of tires caught fire. It took 17 days to put them out. There's no gate, no front fence, nothing preventing anyone from entering the backyard.
If somebody wants to walk in the house in the middle of the night, they can because the door doesn't lock.
The rooming house owner is Zaid Hossein.
I'm Sean O'Shea, I'm a television reporter at Global News.
I caught up with Hossein outside the house.
You've been ordered to take the tires out.
Yeah, like a temporal, I'm just helping my family, okay?
But why do you have all these tires in the back? Why? You're not...
just helping my family.
9 people live in Hosseин's rooming house, according to Stevenson.
What kind of a landlord is he?
Slum.
Stevenson describes his living conditions.
Well, we got the cockroach problem, we got the stove problem, we got no furnace at all, we got mice like you wouldn't believe, we got rats around.
Stevenson says cockroaches even got into his computer, which doesn't work anymore.
I know when the guy took it apart over at the repair shop, he had to take it outside. They were just running right out of the computer, very small ones.
So as for all those tires in the backyard,
Anything he does doesn't surprise me.
taking them out?
Yeah,
When?
but very soon.
For now, hundreds of tires still there. The City of Toronto got back to us. They said they'll be back here with an inspection team tomorrow to see whether those tires have been moved. And we can tell you right now, they're still in the backyard. If they're not moved, then the City of Toronto says that they will hire their own contracting team to remove them to be paid for by the homeowner. We'll follow up.
Oh man, where was that tire story when we were doing our tire story special? That there are so many moving parts to that, so much to comment on. First thing I want to say though is that I'm sure we're going to be covering this again because there's no way in hell that the inspectors are going to show up and this man with his little car will have moved 800-ish tires out of that backyard.
No, and they don't quite grasp the fact that he is trying to help
His family?
someone. His family?
But how? Like, what? Why does his family have a problem that involves I need to stack up 800 tires? Unless it's like this bizarre ancient curse on his family that is just like every morning they wake up and there's just more tires piling up in their backyard. There's no explanation for why and they don't look like new tires or anything. It's just like a hoarder situation. But then again, a hoarder situation, it's usually stuff scattered everywhere. These tires are in like neat rows, one on top of the other they look taller than they look 6 or 7 feet high, all these piles and rows of tires throughout the whole backyard. It is a bizarre scene. And I couldn't imagine living there. Just the amount of rubber in the yard, I feel like you'd open your window and you would just smell rubber.
Yeah, you probably would, but the tires is only a small piece of the problems that are going on at this rental unit.
It's haunted.
I wish it was haunted. It's just completely insane. The door doesn't lock.
Yet they say the address on the news, like this house, and he's standing in front of the house on the corner of whatever, and then the guy's like, yeah, if they want to come in, the door doesn't lock.
I don't think anyone's going to want to rob that place. By the sounds of it, that's criminals are running from that place. It's like, man, there's cockroaches, there's rats, and the tires. I couldn't even find my way to the tires in the back.
It is like a whorehouse or a fun house for a crazy person. The story with the cockroaches breaking the computer. Do you believe that?
I have no reason. I do have a reason. I don't know. I have no reason not to believe it, I guess. Why would he lie about that?
It sounds far-fetched. So imagine this. You live in this this super sketchy place with a slumlord surrounded by tires and rats and everything. Your laptop computer stops working.
Can't you be the one living there? Can't you tell this as if you're the one living there?
Yeah, sure.
And I'm a concerned family member of yours. I'm a concerned friend.
You wouldn't believe what happened to me today, Aaron. So I have this horrible situation with my slumlord and all the tires and the rats and stuff.
Yeah, he's totally slum.
This morning I woke up and my laptop stopped working. So I did what you would normally do is I took my laptop to the repair shop.
That's what I would have totally recommended that you do. Yeah, that's great.
And I thought it was going to be, I don't know, the power supply failed or they needed to replace some switch or some sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I got the surprise of my life when he called me. The repairman said when he opened it up, he found the problem. It was a whole bunch of little tiny cockroaches crawling around in my laptop, little baby ones. That was what the problem was. Can you believe it?
No, I don't believe a word you say.
Okay, there, prove my point. The reason we just did that exercise is because that story's crazy. I don't believe it either.
Yeah, but I don't believe you.
Okay.
I believe him.
There's so many layers to this.
But in this exercise, it's you living there.
Okay.
Jordan.
Okay. And you don't trust my face.
You didn't specify that you are Jordan acting as him, as if it's a play or a movie.
Let's get back to reality. What are the tires there for?
I'd like to dwell on this a bit more if we could.
We'll come back to it. What are the tires there for?
Well, he's helping his family I thought that was clear.
I know you're a creative guy. Paint me a picture. What possibly could your family need that involves you stacking 800 tires up in the backyard of your rooming house that you manage?
Well, we've covered in the past one particular story that was about tire thieves.
Yes.
That stole, the bald tires off of that crappy car that guy had. And nobody could really understand why somebody would steal those tires, but somebody did. Now, I was blaming the tire store owner who was interviewed in that story, and I pointed my accusatory finger at him.
I remember.
Because he's the one that would benefit the most. But now I think it was this landlord guy. And he's actually, I don't think it was him specifically. I think he's a part of it. His family is out stealing tires, and they're storing them at his rental unit because he's like, I don't pay attention to that place anyway. No one will look for them there.
It's possibly, but that's possibly the explanation. I think more likely it is some kind of supernatural curse that involves this house, and that is why there's so much craziness going on. And all of these people who are in there as a rooming house, I don't know what they did in their lives to end up in that situation, but this is a truly Keep Canada Weird story that involves tires and a whole bunch of other elements that I never want to see this place again. But I do know that the trouble is just starting, because when the inspectors show up to play hardball, as it sounds like they're going to, it's not. This guy just has excuses. Nothing's gonna come of this.
No, nothing ever comes of it. It's all just taping little red warnings on doors and walking away. That's what usually happens.
I promised you a duo of stories related to unusual and maybe offensive things in people's yards within Canada. 800 tires stacked up. Would you say that's unusual or offensive?
It's both.
Okay. Well, this next one, I'm curious to see if you were going to err on the side of unusual or offensive, because we got another one. We have to just travel a little ways to Amherstburg, Ontario. There's a neighborhood dispute growing over a bold and undeniably phallic lawn sculpture that's got residents blushing and buses full of school kids covering their eyes. It's the latest example of weird lawn decorations pushing social boundaries and patience. Here's the story of the penis statue in Ontario.
I'm here in Amherstburg, where a sculpture on the front step of this house is catching the attention of passers-by and has resulted in at least one formal complaint to the town.
Take the Statue of David. The Statue of David does have genitalia on it. People do have that statue in their yard. It is considered art. The genitalia is not the only thing on that piece of work. It is a whole human body. There is much more to it. This is a 4-foot tall penis, and it is meant to offend people.
Do you think that's the motivation of this individual, is to offend?
Either that or they have a really immature sense of humor.
Judy Carney says the phallic ornament just down the road from her has been on her neighbor's lawn for about 2 months. She thinks it's inappropriate and wants it removed. But she says the town has told her and others that there's nothing that can be done about it.
Because there are no bylaws in Amherstburg about what you can put in your yard.
An emailed statement from Amherstburg Mayor Michael Prue agrees, but he does say he thinks it is in poor taste and that he's going to check with other jurisdictions to see if there's anything that can be done. We did make efforts to get a hold of the person who lives at the house, but we were not successful. A neighbor told us that the person works out of town and is away for long stretches of time. They weren't sure if the resident even put the ornament out themselves or whether it might be friends pranking them. Regardless of how it got there, the decision to display it is a topic of debate for those in the town.
Oh my, a 4-foot tall penis made of concrete, just leaning against their front step, pointing towards the street, has got the neighbors up. That's created an uproar around the neighbors, but most significantly by the woman we hear complaining in that news clip. She's not happy about this. She doesn't like it.
No, she, in a very strange way, tries to compare it to Statue of David.
Yeah, yeah, that's a pretty grand comparison.
She claims that lots of people have that in their yard. Have you ever seen the Statue of David in somebody's yard before?
No, I've never seen a statue with a penis exposed in anyone's yard.
No, no. I have seen those little babies,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
they
and
have
they're
fountain.
peeing like a
Yeah, yeah.
fountain.
No one has a problem with that. I find that to be much more graphic.
That's true. But this, like, if you're gonna have a debate about is it art, it's a pretty crude and rudimentary 4 foot penis made out of concrete that is there. It is not like artistic in nature or expressive in any way. It appears to be erect, which some people would find offensive as well, just because it is
I
kind of like sexualized.
I disagree that it's erect. I think it's flaccid. Just because it's 4 feet, you don't see the person that it would, hypothetically be attached
Yeah,
to.
so like
That
without
person
that
could be
context,
massive.
it's hard to say.
This could be a very tiny, flaccid penis on a giant.
That is true.
I've seen the update, so we have clarification on this story, but
Yeah, okay, what are you going to say? And then we'll get the update.
what I thought before I saw the update is that this could be art because the penis, it doesn't have any kind of exaggerated features to
Yeah,
it or
it is
anything.
pretty.
Standard regular penis, but it's made of concrete, so it's still powerful. It's strong, it's sturdy. So what the piece is trying to say, I thought, was that a normal regular penis can still be strong and dependable, and something you can rely on. That's what I thought.
Okay. As far as the news clip there, we're left hanging by that news clip of is it was it put there by the owner? Who is the owner? Does the owner know it's there? Is it a prank someone's playing on the owner? It was left as like a bit of a mystery, but it was a mystery that would be solved very quickly. Because if you're the type of person that has a 4 foot tall concrete penis on your front lawn and you find out that people are in the news complaining about it, what do? The type of person who has that on their front lawn, they level up. And that's when we get to the update. There has been several follow-up articles. Spoiler alert, it's intentional. They want that thing there. And as I guess a subtle FU to everybody who's complaining, that penis is now decorated for Easter. It's dressed up as a bunny rabbit. Here's the update.
We now know the story behind a controversial statue in front of a home in Amherstburg. The statue was the source of neighbor complaints, so the homeowner gave it a new look, dressing it up for Easter. The phallic symbol started as a joke between Luke Parlett and his brothers. For Christmas one year, Parlett sent his brother small penis statues. Then this summer, his oldest brother was pouring a cement pad and had some left over. Parlett's Christmas present this year was the 4-foot-tall sculpture, which he propped it up in the front yard of his brother in December. Parlett says no one has ever told him they found it offensive, and he has gotten a lot of laughs and positive comments since.
I know a lot of people have had good laughs about it. Never meant to offend anybody. Nobody's knocked on my door. Nobody's got my phone number, called me about it, said, like, if somebody came up and said, hey, like, do you mind maybe moving into your backyard? You know what? I probably would have.
No one called. Nobody knocked on his door. Instead, they went on CBC and complained publicly about it. Is what he's done with dressing the penis up as Easter bunny, is that a way to kind of hide what it is, or is that a way to exaggerate what it is? Because the way he's decorated it is each what would be the testicles have been turned into decorated Easter eggs, and at the top part of the penis he has the eyes and the bunny ears put on top, so it looks much more obscene and bizarre now. I would love to have heard a follow-up article or a follow-up interview with the lady across the street that hates this thing.
Oh, she's probably more enraged now than ever before. It's good on him. I'm not sure. Again, we were left with some more questions about his motivations. Is he trying to pour some water on the fire by turning it into an Easter bunny and being like, hey, don't worry, it doesn't look offensive anymore? Or is he pouring gasoline on it and be like, this penis is here to stay, and it will be decorated for every season of the year?
What is with this family? Why would a brother have given him a bunch of small penises for Christmas?
I never had a brother growing up, but if I did, I'd always probably send him penises and draw penises and talk about penises all the time with my brother.
I guess. Either way, shine on, you crazy diamonds in Amherstburg, Ontario. What a hilarious story. You hear stories of bad neighbors, and I often am bothered by them because I've been through situations with awful neighbors. But this one, I can laugh at it. If the worst thing your neighbor does is have a penis statue on their front lawn, then yeah, it could be way worse. Trust me.
Yeah, you should be very thankful for this neighbor because he's gone for large chunks of time throughout the year, which means they're probably pretty quiet and not much goes on over there. But you got to put up with a little bit of stuff from your neighbors. No neighbor is perfect, and this one has a 4-foot penis in his front yard.
On that note, let's get to our second and final break of the night. When we get back, though, I hope you have a strong stomach because we are going to hear disgusting, disturbing, and gross stories related to bodily functions. We'll get to that shortly. Handsome Aaron Airport, do you like to travel abroad, like outside of the country?
I don't really do that often.
Okay. Have you in the last, say, 5 years?
No, I have not outside of the country.
I've gone to the US a few times, but I don't really have any like travel horror stories. I've never gotten sick abroad or broke a bone or got arrested or had any unusual thing happen. So I can't relate to this story that we're going to be discussing too personally. But what I do know is that I get like that man cold kind of thing. If I ever get sick, I'm either like not sick or I'm so sick that I'm on death's door. Like I only get super sick to the point that I like want to just like die in my bed sort of thing. And maybe that's the only thing about me that I can relate to this story because we're going to hear about a family that got super sick while visiting Cancun and the whole mess that surrounded that. It's a Saskatoon family. Their sunny getaway to Mexico took a terrifying turn when a bout of suspected food poisoning left them too sick to fly and fighting for their lives. What was supposed to be a relaxing vacation in Cancun quickly spiraled into a nightmare involving vomit bags, airport delays, and a desperate search for medical help. And we shouldn't laugh at this because this is serious. This family was seriously sick. But getting sick on the day you're supposed to get on your flight, oh, that's complicated. Here's the story of what happened to them.
I'm not over-exaggerating when I'm saying that I literally thought we were going to die there.
One Saskatoon family's trip to Mexico ended with them soaking up far more than just the sun. Brett Cohen and Andrew Hoffman were vacationing in Cancun with their child Lennox when they fell ill with suspected food poisoning so bad they had to be removed from their WestJet flight home. Airline staff told them they could see a doctor later at the hotel they stayed at, something they couldn't wait for as they got worse.
They told us that we should not go to the hospital.
They said nobody's keeping us there, but you should stay and not go to the hospital. We literally had to check Len's pulse to see if he was still alive. Like I thought we were gonna die there. Like honest to God, I thought one of us was not gonna make it.
They eventually went to the hospital and caught a flight home 2 days later. And while the family had travel insurance, they're still investigating what action can be taken against the airline for its handling of the situation. President of Air Passenger Rights, Dr. Gabor Lukic, says while what WestJet did is legal, it wasn't very courteous.
In this case, it's quite clear that WestJet did the right thing by removing the passengers. Where they may have erred is not doing enough for the sick passengers to ensure they get care, and that's more a moral blameworthiness, not a legal one.
Sunwing provided the following statement to Global News on the matter, saying in part, they hope they've fully recovered from this unfortunate incident. And while Lukic doubts any legal consequences will be felt by the airlines, he knows the story could have been a more positive one.
The story that WestJet should have had is, passenger falls sick and then airline employees get out of their way to get them to the hospital. It would have been a much nicer, better PR. I hope that this story is going to create some moral accountability, even though legal accountability is unlikely to happen.
With this trip in the rearview mirror, Cohen and Hoffman say they will keep a closer eye on other vacationers in the future to spare them the same situation they experienced.
Now, I want to quiz you on this piece we just listened to. After hearing that story, like, for one, it's awful what happened to them. Getting sick, violently ill, at the point that you're like getting on your plane and having to be removed from the plane, like being that sick, that's a terrible situation. But are they on the news kind of complaining that they were removed from the flight, or are they upset that the airline like didn't bring them to a hospital or something? Like, what exactly is the complaint that they're airing?
This kind of confuses me too. I'm not sure, like, what is the airline's responsibility when it comes to sick passengers in that sense.
And it's not that they got sick in the air, like they were removed before the plane even took off or whatever. Like you would, and even that guy, that advocate for like passengers' rights and stuff, said as well, like they did the right thing.
Yeah.
Like if you showed up sick, puking, the whole family, it's not right to put them on the flight with other people.
No, and you can't assess, what is causing them to be sick. It's something contagious, or, it's kind of a bizarre story. And so they all ate something before the flight. So it wasn't the food on the flight that made them sick or anything like that. So
like it really had nothing to do with the flight, other than they had tickets for that flight, tried to get on the plane, and were either like removed or turned away or whatever. But they didn't get into exactly what it was, but I think they did say removed from the flight. So they must have at least boarded it, and maybe it was then identified.
And then
maybe the stewardess was like, "Whoa, like they're just like puking and dying in the back." And like one guy's green, and the kid hardly has a pulse. So like you got to deal with it there at the airport, rather than dealing with it, up in the sky when there's like literally nothing you can do. So of course, removing them from the plane was the right thing to do. But is it then the airline's responsibility to get them to hospitals? Like what would they do? Call them an ambulance, I guess, is what they could have done.
Yeah, they felt that the airline should have then taken them to the hospital. It seems to, with the impression I got.
I guess, based on the news clip, is what it seems. And in the end, they get home 2 days later after being seen by doctors or at a hospital or something. But the reason I was kind of quizzing you on like the logistics of the complaint in that news coverage is I tried to learn more about what was happening, because I was a little confused by it as well. And I actually found the Facebook profile for the father in that article that we just heard from, actually complaining about this news article on his Facebook page. I'm going to read you something that he wrote, which is pretty interesting. Here's what he says on his Facebook. He shares the article that we just listened to, and he says, I want to clear some things up. We were not offered medical assistance from the airport doctor, nor did we know there was a such thing as an airport doctor. We're not faulting WestJet for removing us from the flight. We're upset with Sunwing's actions, which occurred after we got off the plane, as they repeatedly denied us medical assistance. It was not WestJet staff that said we should see a doctor at the hotel, and it was not airline staff that told us we should not go to the hospital. It was Sunwing. Sunwing didn't offer to help us arrange flights home. We were left to do that on our own. I'm sorry to say it, but the story is inaccurate and not representative of the conversation we had with the reporter we spoke with, nor is it representative of our concerns or experiences. So after reading that, I'm disappointed to hear that they had a bad experience with the media and they felt the story didn't accurately describe it. But even after reading his explanation, I still don't get it, because isn't WestJet and Sunwing just two airlines?
Yeah.
Like I'm completely lost by what happened here.
Because once you're in the airport, like you're removed from the plane, you're in the airport. So wouldn't your wouldn't your grievances be with the airport and not, WestJet or Sunwings?
Yeah, that's what I would think. And I also think the explanation or the answer for what you should have, what you should do, what the next steps should be, like in Mexico, they would have like ambulances and like some version of like a 911 kind of thing. It just seems like there should be no like, don't go to the hospital, sit here and wait before we get you so we can get you on another plane or any of that stuff. It should just be you're super sick, call, whatever 911 is or whatever the equivalent would be. I don't understand the story, and I especially don't understand the fact that it got to the point of being on the news inaccurately, and you and I, investigative journalists, can't make sense of what the complaint is about or what happened or what should have happened. The interesting part, I think, in the kind of the fundamental issue here is if you're sick, should you be allowed on a plane? I vote no.
No, I mean, I think that should be also assessed, on a case by case basis, depending on the sickness that you have. I don't, you may need to get somewhere to seek a medical attention by
that's
flights.
true.
It depends on.
What if it's like a nasty head cold? Like if someone gets on, their nose is red, their lips are dry, their eyes are watering, they have a tissue box, they're sneezing and blowing their nose constantly. Do you think they should be allowed to get on the plane?
Well, yeah, probably. If it's just a cold. How do you know? That's the thing. Where do you draw the line?
I know. I hate getting a cold. Like I said at the beginning of the story, I'm either not sick or I have the stereotypical man cold. So if I see someone who has symptoms of a cold or flu virus or something, I avoid it like the plague because chances are I don't catch it. But if I do, it pretty much guarantees me 4 days of like lying in my bed, rolling around, moaning, wishing for a swift death.
Yeah, I want to know more about what made them sick.
Well, I should have said on his Facebook, he also said it is confirmed that it was food poisoning. So he ate something weird. But when you go to other countries, that's pretty common. Like you hear of people like you don't drink water, don't even take ice cubes and stuff. Like when you're traveling abroad, you're exposing yourself to so many different viruses and stuff that your body's not prepared for.
Yeah.
Hence, one of our favorite movies, the movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan.
Oh, yes, right. Yeah. Well, that's kind of a huge spoiler thing, though, if for anyone who hasn't seen Signs.
Let's not give the spoiler out, but let's just say for anyone who hasn't seen the movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan, it's really good. And if you watch it, at the end, you'd be like, oh, that's how it connects to episode 158 of Keep Canada Weird.
Yeah. That's what the intern is saying to himself right now. Oh, M. Night Shyamalan Signs. I get it now. That's why I had to listen to 158 episodes about special drinks.
Someday our intern Matt is going to be a professional journalist, and he's going to be like receiving some kind of journalism award. And they're like, tell us about, what got you into journalism? How did you cut your teeth? And he'll have to give the story of his time working for the Keep Canada Weird podcast and all the amazing things he learned researching egg versus egg gate.
Yeah. Especially when we get him started on Entirely Tires and where all that started.
I'm excited to hear his research into the special drinks ritual at the beginning of the episodes, because I have no memory of when that began. Like so many of the little things we do, we never like planned it. These are just things that formed over 158 episodes. So
yeah,
it's going to be fun to do our explainer episodes and revisit the kind of birth of these events.
I want to hear about the birth of the animal uprising when we first started talking about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big one for him because that's going right back to the early days. But we don't have time to reminisce about that now because we're still keeping Canada weird here with last week's stories. And I promised you in this segment we would hear two gross, disturbing, disgusting stories involving bodily functions. We just heard one. That bodily function was puking. I'm going to now tell you the story of another disturbing, gross bodily function that made its way into the news. And this one has a little bit of a cherry on top because it is set inside a Value Village of all places. A Sudbury Value Village is the venue for an assault with a gross weapon. For people who don't know as well, we should say Value Village is the Canadian equivalent of Savers, which is like a thrift store. I think Savers is the American company that actually owns Value Village. So it's a used
that sounds
stuff
right.
store. Here it
Yep.
comes. In a truly bizarre and stomach-turning case out of Sudbury, Ontario, a man has been sentenced to 7 days in jail on top of the time he's already served after admitting to what the court described as an unspeakable and disgusting act committed against a Value Village employee. The incident happened on September 27th of 2024 after 50-year-old Pierre Gauthier entered the secondhand store. His lawyer explained that Gauthier felt he was being mocked and followed around the store, which led to him having an outburst. The outburst itself, as far as what happened there's two competing stories. The court heard that Gauthier defecated in the store and threw his feces at a male employee, striking her on the arm before he quickly left the store. Gauthier's lawyers interjected to state that his client did not throw the feces at the employee, but instead wiped it on her. Gauthier's lawyer also rebutted earlier reports that the incident led to the store needing to be closed and stated that the area involved was simply cordoned off while cleaning occurred, but the store remained open throughout the ordeal. In the end, Gauthier, of no fixed address, pled guilty to assault with a weapon, the weapon being feces. During sentencing, Ontario Court Justice Jenner didn't hold back in his comments, telling Gauthier, "I don't think I have to tell you what brought you here today was a very unspeakable, disgusting act." Though he emphasized he didn't throw the feces, but rather wiped it on an employee, the impact was no less serious. The court heard that Gauthier suffers from multiple health challenges, has a learning disability, and struggles with his speech. He's also been dealt with housing instability for years, often relying on busking on downtown sidewalks to get by. The judge initially crediting Gauthier with time already served, but given the severity of the act, the judge instead tacked an additional week in jail, followed by probation and a DNA order. In closing, the judge urged Gauthier to attend all court proceedings in the future, something he had declined to do on several previous occasions while in custody. The end. You want to comment on that one?
Well, I think this is someone that is dealing with issues that prevent them from behaving in a way that you would want them to behave. And
I have a feeling very few people of sound mind and judgment are involved in situations involving throwing feces inside a used clothing store.
yeah, it's a black eye on the system, and hopefully things can turn around for this individual. But I don't know. Again, it's so hard to comment on when you're not really inside this story in a way where you can.
I'm glad I'm not inside it. Let's just talk about the act itself. Being assaulted with that as a weapon is pretty awful. When you hear assault with a weapon, usually you're thinking like knife or maybe someone hit you with a bat. I feel like I'd take that any day over this.
Yeah, maybe.
And also the context of the environment. If it was outside in a field and they were going to throw it from a distance versus inside a Value Village with that fluorescent lighting and it's all shocking and loud, it's dusty. I have allergies, so I'm already like feeling a little itchy and uncomfortable in there. Adding this is awful.
I don't know how to talk about this anymore.
You know what? Let's transition out of this disturbing discussion and let's completely turn it on its head and go into something flowery and lovely and hopeful and maybe even a little bit romantic. We've been ending the episodes lately with a promise not to keep Canada weird, because we followed through on that. Let's keep Canada romantic. You ready to get back into this?
Yeah, we really need this right now.
Okay, what a clumsy transition, but let's do it. Over the last several weeks, we've been airing dating profiles submitted to us by listeners of Keep Canada Weird from all over the world, from all walks of life, all with one thing in common. They want to find somebody special. Last week, we heard from Charlotte. She had the eclectic profile that involved fortune telling, climbing trees, true crime documentaries. I will say we haven't been able to find someone for her yet, but I did hear from a lot of people who said, like, Charlotte sounds amazing. I hope she finds what she's looking for. And I did hear from Charlotte as well myself. She sent me an email after we aired her profile to give us a bit more information and answer one of the questions she had. If you remember correctly, after her profile was aired, we said she didn't tell us who she was looking for. I'll tell you what she said about that. Hey guys, I just listened to the latest episode and I was so excited when I heard you air my profile. I just wanted to say thank you so much for airing it, and I want to let you know that I purposely left out what I was looking for in a guy because I'm open to meeting different types of guys than I've dated previously. I don't want to pigeon myself right back into the same cycle of jerks. And I commend her for that.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in Charlotte, she's still available from last week. You can listen to episode 157 to learn more about the eligible Keep Canada Weird Bachelor Charlotte. But we got to move on to a new bachelor. Are you ready?
Oh, I'm so ready.
I hope you are, because this is a big one. It's a listener named Zach. He's called the show before. He's from the United States. As it turns out, Zach is single and he's ready to mingle. Here's his profile.
My name is Zach from Pittsburgh. I like going to the bar and getting six-packs. I like cinnamon sun chips. I like keeping things weird and interesting, but not too weird. I am a nerdy fellow who enjoys all kinds of topics like true crime, sci-fi, anime, video games, and pretty much anything of a nerdy nature. I am a little more to love. I am larger than normal. But I also have a very long and exquisite beard. Yeah. I don't take things too seriously, or at least I don't try to. And I like to just have a good time and let things fall as they may.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Zach. Ready and willing to meet interested females out there. I don't know if you're thinking what I'm thinking, but he kind of seems like he would vibe with Charlotte a bit.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, I wonder if Zach likes climbing trees.
He says himself he's a bit bigger of a guy, but I don't think like he just pick a big tree.
Yeah, but maybe he just likes watching people climb trees. So that's why Charlotte would be perfect for Zach. And they're also both from the same country. They're both from America.
Wow. Okay, that was easy. Zach and Charlotte.
Oh yeah, case closed.
Zach
on
and
this
Charlotte. One. If it seems like you're interested, contact me and I can get you two in contact with each other. But for any females out there, if Zach sounds like your cup of tea with his long, glorious beard, let me know. Did he kind of trick you with that? Because I was like, whoa, where's this going?
I figured he was going to have some kind of a play on words there, but yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed Zach's. I enjoyed Zach's profile. That's two Americans that have called in looking for love from Canadians, but the irony will be they'll end up with each other in America, meeting on a podcast. Canadian podcast called Keep Canada
Jess
Weird.
At the beginning of the episode said she would happy to be Keep Canada Weird's first wedding. Her wedding's planned for this summer. So if we keep this up, she may not get the first Keep Canada Weird wedding.
The race is on.
We're matchmaking here.
We are. And so let's connect them. Let's see what happens.
Well, we have to see if they're interested first.
No.
And this is also a bit of provides a bit of a sense of urgency for other females who heard Zach's profile or some men who heard Charlotte's and they're like, oh man, like I got to get on this right quick before I got to send my message in before they pair off.
But here's what I want to know. Should you and I be granted some kind of executive power over this matchmaking where we can say, you know what? No, we're not going to match you with that person that you're interested in. Or in this case, where we have Zach and Charlotte, where we should just connect them either way without their consent.
A Keep Canada Romantic executive order. You're going to sign one?
Yeah. I've got a pen right here.
Well, we'll see what happens. Is there anything to say about, like, there's a lot of talk about Americans fleeing to Canada. Are we maybe like unintentionally providing like a route to like a green card to Canada for these people?
I don't know in this climate right now. I don't know.
Okay. Well, either way, we're doing God's work here, keeping Canada weird, keeping Canada romantic, making things happen, and we're not done yet. I'm excited to see what the future holds for us, Aaron.
Let's just see what happens.
If we're going to see what happens, here's what's going to happen. Coming soon, we are going to have our next edition of the Keep Canada Weird mailbag that will include the voicemails that weren't aired during the month of March. That should be up on the Keep Canada Weird feed and the Nighttime Podcast Premium feed within the next week or so. That'll be closely followed by the first Explainer series episode, which will be covering egg versus Egggate. We got a lot to cover. And that's on top of seeking out and exploring the weird Canadian news stories. So, Aaron, let's wrap this up. We've got to get a good sleep because we got a big day of work ahead of us tomorrow.
Yeah. Will the intern come and help me at my regular job?
I'll have to talk to him about that. I don't know if he does accounting.
Yeah, well, I can show him a few things, get him started.
I'll talk to him about that. Let me handle that one. Handsome Aaron Airport, until next time.
Jordan Backhoe, Bus Stop Bonaparte, until next time.
Yeah, if you see a weird, suggestive, maybe offensive statue in a neighbor's yard, I'd suggest not going on the news about it because it will probably just kick up the hornet's nest.
And Jordan, until next time, hopefully when intern Matt reaches the end of this internship and has to hand in his report and his professor asks him, how was working for Jordan Backhoe Bus Stop Bonaparte? And then Matt just looks at his professor dead in the eye and just says, slum.
I want to thank you for helping Aaron and I fulfill our mission to keep Canada weird. If you got a news story from your area that you'd like to share with us, or have any thoughts or theories or opinions on anything we discussed tonight, we'd love to hear from you. You can contact us by using the voice recorder that can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/contact. And on that topic, I want to give a big thank you to this episode's correspondents. If your voice message was aired tonight, you can email me your address. My email is nighttimepodcast@gmail.com, and I'll get a Keep Canada Weird badge and swag pack sent out to you. I just ask that you wear the badge proudly and responsibly. Next, a big thanks goes out to Aaron for another great night, you, Nicole, for the intro and outro voiceovers, and Monty Data for the outro version of O Canada. And then, of course, a sincere and massive thank you goes out to each and every one of you listening. Your support makes this show possible. And if you'd like to support the show even more, please consider a subscription to the premium feed, which can be found at nighttimepodcast.com/subscribe. The premium feed costs just a couple dollars a month, but that money will fund the creation of new episodes of the show, and it'll give you those episodes 2 days early, ad-free, and access to a back catalog of episodes. And even if you don't want to go premium, you can still support the show by sharing this episode on social media. That helps a lot too, and it's free. Your support is very much appreciated. So with all that said, until next time, take care of each other, hug your loved ones tight, and together, let's keep Canada weird.
Keep Canada Weird is written, hosted, and produced by the Nighttime Podcast.
And now to our viewers and listeners everywhere, good night.
Hey Jordan and Aaron, your intern Matthew here. I went back and I pulled all the clips from the egg versus Egggate situation from last year. As someone who wasn't around for it, I was surprised just how much of a controversy this was and found it thoroughly entertaining. Elaine was easily the highlight for me, hearing about her response to the mistake he made and the feedback she received. I believe that this is a pivotal moment in the history of the podcast, and it was truly a delight listening back to it all. Thanks for all the laughs, guys.